Well, we're live. Took me a little time to get here. I was making John and I a nice New Year's Eve dinner, cod and onions and spinach and escarole and sweet potatoes and mushrooms. And the sweet potatoes and mushrooms I kind of broiled after boiling them. And the fish was like a stew. And I have a nice bean stew, and I bought a nice bottle of champagne and a nice bottle of red wine. And, you know, I feel like the wife, A Bath's Tale by Chaucer. And one of my favorite Chaucer stories. And again, people always talk about what's the modern novel. You know, my favorite modern novel is, Moby Dick by Melville. And my other favorite modern novel is Christmas Carol and the Tale of Two Sittings by Dickens. And then Huck Finn is another one of my favorite modern novels. But, back in the day, before Shakespeare, Chaucer, the wife of Bath's Tale. That's my favorite, and that's, the relationship between John and I is kind of like that. So everyone should go read that, and you'd get a chuckle and little literature, because all these words, all the people I just mentioned, all those authors were alchemists, because they used words extraordinarily very, very specific, right? Now, I'm going to read you something here. Let's see. And I'm going to read you from Proverbs. Yeah. The Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. To know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instructions of wisdom's justice and judgment and equity, to give subtlety to the simple, to the young man, knowledge and discretion. Didn't you like that this morning? My breakfast. Weren't those kids? I mean, they were just so cute, And I'm going to try and do more of that. The breakfast ramble that was Sundays was just after the food fight, and I tried. I had to go into state and energetically keep the 70 people from, hitting each other over the head with chairs, and because the manager would have gotten very upset and blamed me, so I meditated there and quieted it down. But after I took out my camera and did a live chat, and it caught the energy, right? And so you saw how you couldn't hear anything. And so for the people across the room to complain that my phone was too loud, it was like really too much. And then that they complained that they didn't want to watch me chew my food. And then the guy took out his false teeth and stuffed his pie hole with his food, and the food. I mean, it was like unbelievable. So the difference between that and those kids, right? And people go on about, oh, millennials. Well, those two kids proved the fact that in every generation there are people who want to know. The fear of the Lord is fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction. My son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. And that's just what we do every time we go into state. We breathe in the prana, and that is the instruction of the Father. And when we ground ourselves with our chi, that's the law of thy mother. For they shall be an ornament of grace unto thy head, and chains about thy neck. My son, if the sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood, let us lurk privately for the innocent without cause, let us swallow them up alive in the grave and the hole as those that go down into the pit. We shall That's right, '09. Jane, good to see you, buddy. So we're looking at here Proverbs, right? First chapter. And, the Bible really does have some amazing stuff, and it's all coded out, And this little section really speaks to what's going on these days. Let us swallow them up alive as the grave and the hole as though that go down into the pit. We shall find the precious. Doo, 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 doo. Oh, screw it. Stupid thing won't. Happy day, Jane, today and all days. '09. Yep. Anyway, cast in thee the lot among us. Let's see. It shall fill our house with spoils. Cast in thee lot among us. Let us all have one purse. My son, walk not thou in way with thine. Refrain thou foot from their path, for their feet run to evil, and make haste to shed blood. Surely in vain the net is spread in the sight of any bird, and they lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privately for their own lives. So are the ways of everyone that is greedy of gain, which taketh away the life of the owners thereof. Wisdom cherished without, she uttereth her voice in the streets. She cries in the chief place of conscience or concourse, in the opening of the gates. In the city she utters her word, saying, how long, ye simple ones? Anyway, I will let you guys. Again, this is Proverbs, first chapter. Because I have called thee and refused to have stretched out my hand, and no man regarded. But ye have set at naught all my counsel, and would none of my reproof. I also will laugh at your calamity. I will mock when your fear cometh. When your fear cometh as dissolution, and for destruction cometh as the whirlwind. Anyway, so, you get the picture, right? Basically, what Proverbs is saying here is that what's going on today, and what I'm really wanting to get you guys' opinion on is the digital platforms. What's going on within our whole planet is that people used to have community, right? Whether it was their church, their town, their city, their state, their country, there was an essence of community. We all helped each other. But now, because of the digital platforms, we are stuck in these digital, you know, what do you call it, when you belong to a tribe, right? And those tribes aren't really anything but people's opinions, right? It's not based on like what grandma said or what people do and live by example. A good thing to look at is what Facebook is to your neighborhood, your community, the people you work with, the people you go to church with. Those communities have been destroyed and disrupted by Facebook. And Facebook is to your community that pornography porno is to intimate relations of one-on-one, right? So we're looking at, the last 10 years, there has been a force. It's not Zuckerberg who did Facebook. Zuckerberg is the poster boy. Bill Gates did not do Microsoft. He's the poster boy. Steve Jobs, again, he was just the guy with the jeans and the black turtleneck. These were all people. They did not invent anything. At best, they took things off the shelves, stuck them together, and made a product, and made that product cool. Now it's got to the point where people aren't even doing that. They're just doing apps. And again, those apps, those people aren't writing the code. They're not doing that. They're using bots to put it together. So AI is putting all this stuff together. We're coming into a very strange time. Okay, so what are we all saying here? Exactly, '09. Most are so bottled up these days, they can only mimic what true communication is. Exactly, And that's what was so sweet about those two young kids where I had breakfast this morning. They were actually communicating. They were actually in love. They were actually having this great intimacy of their hearts. And they didn't like bump into each other at Facebook, right? And that's what we, the cadre, have to do. I mean, one of the amazing things about this cadre, you guys are all over the friggin' planet. You're not just over, in New Jersey, all being part of the tribe of, I hate this, and everybody who doesn't believe in what I do, I want to kill you, which is what happened in the restaurant yesterday on Sunday. There was a group, this churchy group, who saw me as the other. I wasn't wearing churchy clothes. I have kind of the short hair and these wild bushy eyebrows and a big beard. And I was the other, They were across the room. If you go listen to that thing, how loud that room was. You couldn't hear my phone. And I had it up to my ear. And and what was really sad, and you could tell it, the waitress was basically threatened by the churchy people to get rid of me or else. And you could see how troubled she was because she kind of knows me. I mean, everybody who works there knows me because I've been going in there pretty much 2 or 3 times a day every week for the last few months during the workday, like between 9:30 and 11:30 when no one's there, right? And I'd read their palms and give them advice and et cetera, right? And this was the first kind of, Now, there may have been a few other people like that looking at me like, what's that guy doing here? And I am the perfect example of what people see as the other. They don't understand. They're fear bound. So their fear comes up and they kind of, right? So what's really great about the cadre is that we are as diverse as a group you could ever, we are the link, we are from the lake, we really are. I mean, everybody is so different, yet we embrace each other in love's co-creation. So and I kept, if you have been watching since May when I started this and I didn't know what I was doing, I still don't, but I had no real good access to internet like I do here at the school and I do at these restaurants. So that's why I do 2 chats a day because I have no idea, at some whim of John or a restaurant or whatever, you know, Sensei Al Bob will be curtailed, and not like I'll still try and get out there, but it won't be as fluid as this. And the other side of the coin is so everyone in the cadre needs to kind of step up. In your own little communities, you need to start to have salons. Whatever day you want. Friday is a great day. It's not the weekend. It's people are just ready to do something because they just get out of work, and So if you can get a group of your like-minded neighbors and bring them together and talk like this about stuff, what books do you like to read? What movies? And talk about it, and tell your own stories. Be your own grants, and then figure out. Okay, in our community, what do we need to, how can we make our community better? What's the water like? What's the air like? What's the politics like? How many, people who need our help? Because like today, right? So I've been leaving really early. I mean, and that's kind of why I had breakfast on Sunday, is because John has been getting, oh, you got to leave. You make me so anxious. So I leave early in the morning before he sees me. And I come back, around dark 30, and then I make him dinner. And then I can talk to him to a point where I can stay one more night. But, he was going on, I have no energy. I need to drink coffee. Well, that's like his crack cocaine and pretty much will be gone. And his basic attitude is, well, screw it. I'm going to drink coffee so I can have energy and you'll be gone, So that's it. I have to say thank you. One of you guys sent me some funds via Western Union, and it worked great. Meaning, you got on the phone, you used your credit card, went to Western Union, you sent whatever you wanted to Al Martino, and then you got a hold of me at the due to Wake 42 and said, "Hey Al, I sent X amount of dollars to Roanoke, and my this is the code number, and I really do need the code number. Just my name and my driver's license isn't enough. I have to really have the code number for them to, like, pull it out of the computer. So anyone who wants to send me anything, because I basically paid off a few bills. There's a mechanic who fixed my car, and he let it ride, and I had to keep, so I went and gave him half of the money that the person sent, and then I spent the other half on buying food for John so he wouldn't just eat saltine crackers, So I made a really nice dinner, and he's like mad at me for doing that. Like I said, the wife of Bath's tale. So this all kind of hangs together because here it is, all anxiety, New Year's Eve in a few hours is going to, and some of you, it's already 2019, January 1. Anyone there that it's already past midnight and it's New Year's? And there's 7 of you. Can you hear me? Is our connection good? We are up and running at 19 minutes, almost 20 minutes. So I hope the connect is good. I hope you're all good. Let's see. Oh, look at that. 111 Yes. Yep. Skipping along the top part of the pound. Never stopping to dive deeper. Let's see, what are we all saying here? Let me go back a bit. Uh, Bliss all year long. Why would God laugh and let people suffer? Well, God doesn't laugh and let people suffer, John. Basically, people make themselves suffer, right? And other people make other people suffer, John. You know, if you throw me out, you will make me suffer. But I'm pretty good at navigating, and I'll navigate. You know, every time you threw me under the bus, you know, let's go back to December 26th. You know, I had all of like 20 seconds to get out. You know, get out, get out. You know, I did like, and you know, I had to hobble, and you just stared there and screamed at me while the Moscow bride was smoking cigarettes, and I drove down the hill without having a clue of where I was going to go. But it was a beautiful day, and it wasn't like any other day that you throw me out in the rain or late at night, or I can't see anything in the dark. You know, so that's, you know, God doesn't do these things, John. Human beings do. You know, God doesn't start wars. God doesn't start, you know, in that little fracas in the restaurant on Sunday. God didn't do that, you know. God doesn't do, we do this stuff. We are like Donald Duck with an angel on one shoulder and the devil on the other. And every nanosecond, we have the choice to be the angel or the devil. And it's so much easier to be the angel, because to be the devil, it just racks us with guilt. You know, then we're fraught with pity. And you don't want to live like that, you know? You know, whenever I make you a meal, John, I do it from love. I want you to eat something good for you, right? I want to share it with you. There's a sacrament in breaking bread. There's a sacrament in look at what Jesus did with the loaves and the fishes, you know? He was breaking bread with all those folks. They were hungry, right? He could have said, "Oh, screw it. You know, I'm going to IHOP. You guys fuck off." No, you know, Jesus didn't say that. And that's what I'm talking about, Cadre. In every day and every way, we need to step up within our own communities, within our own lives. Like, so today, right? So you guys saw that little thing of the kids that we talked, right? And if you watch the whole thing, they said, I want, you know, what is meditation? And I said, oh, you want to see it right now? And I, in the middle of a restaurant, I put those guys in state, right? And the girl was really there, meaning she prays and she has a, you know, faith in Jesus' love, and she got it when, because she was using the word God, and I said, you know, that's not the appropriate word. What do you mean God's not the? I said, well, in Sumerian that means demon, you know, and Lord means Satan, and she was like, And then I had my little Bible, just like I read to you, and, you know, showed them in the passage where it was talking about that. She goes, well, how come no one in my church ever showed me that in the Bible? Because they don't want to, you know, and they probably don't know it. They probably don't read the Bible like I do. Anyway, so they said, oh, yeah, let's see what that is. And because she prays all the time, she went straight into stage. She saw the whole thing. She went to her Akashic record. She went to, and that was in the middle of a, you know, restaurant while people were clinking cups and walking around and you know, scooting by them. And you can go and stay anywhere. And love is the person, the thing that, you know, truly we can co-create. And whatever, you know, so why would God laugh and let people suffer? No, God doesn't laugh. You know, well, God does because God's a demon. But love doesn't laugh and let people suffer. Box cube. Yep. Commune in purity, clarity, and love's co-creation. Most are so bottled up these days and can only mimic what true, you know, or try, you know, not, they don't even mimic and they don't even try to commune, right? They just, do what is expected of them. They're totally boxed in by, oh, I can't do this because someone's going to say something about it. I loved on Sunday when the woman, the who brought my food, basically said, "Can you turn so the people can't, they're getting annoyed with you chewing your food." And the guy next to me, he lost his shit and said, "What?" And he took out his false teeth that were covered with biscuit and gravy and sausage and slammed them on the thing and then started scooping the food up. And I wanted to videotape that and go on live chat and show that. But I knew that if I did that, that would have been like a Hollywood, all out, barroom brawl of old people. I was the youngest person there, right? And I said to myself, I can do this, and this will be the most virally watched video on YouTube. 20 million people will see it by the end of the day. Or I can just close my eyes, go into state, and bring these folks to land them easy so they don't, start trying to kill each other. Then, after I did that, I took out my phone and did videotape it because the energy was still in this kind of way, and it documents that really well. You really catch. You can still hear the woman in the back going on, but you could hear how loud the place was. I mean, it was. So we're back, right? So I had to make a choice, be the good little angel or the little devil, So I'm old enough to be responsible, and I, took him in for an easy landing. Let's see. Ba-doop-boop-boo. Ba-doop-boo-boo. So, okay, esoteric dragon. Yep, he's getting into the synchronistic moment. Jane, gang, stalked by Yep, but not really. I mean, if you keep just always look on the bright side of life, doo-doo, 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 right? The tribe. Let's see. Church people, shame. Yeah, like, shouldn't they be trying to act like Jesus? Nah, it was like, wasn't any specific church. I mean, they weren't targeting me. They weren't like, let's get Sensei Al Bob. No, these people were just neurotic, and whatever makes them uncomfortable, they go, oh, I don't want, the other. Let's get the other. I just happened to be the only closest thing that could be defined as the other, because I wasn't wearing church clothes. I was wearing my Carhartt quilted overalls that I haven't washed in 3 weeks, and it's like covered in the food I've been eating. Right? I was telling. So today was great because first thing I did was I went and saw that somebody left me, a tip, and that was great. And I took that money along with the dollars that John gave me to buy alcohol, and I bought us food, right? And I bought us a bottle of champagne, and I bought us a 2 nice bottles of wine, and I went to the liquor store and I bought Chambord. So has anyone ever used Chambord? You know what Chambord is? It's raspberry liquor, right? Liqueur. And it's amazing on ice cream. And the other thing that it's really amazing on is, the Desperate Lawyers taught me this one, is that if you get a really shitty bottle of champagne and you add this stuff to it, it is like, wow, better than anything you've ever had before. Not shitty, but, I bought a $6 bottle of wine, Andre, and it was a dry one, not a sweet one. So adding the Chambord to it, it'll be outstanding, And John doesn't want, I made him a nice dinner. It's down here waiting for him. And one reason why I was about 17 minutes late, I wanted to share a meal with him. So I waited 40 minutes for him to come down. And he got upset with me because I was making dinner and he was going on and on about the same thing he's been going on and on for the last 40 years about what happened in fifth grade and seventh grade. And, I've heard it 1,000 times and I've tried to unwind that because that's what you do in psychoanalysis. You look at it, you forensically take it apart and say, well, why happened and what happened and what about this and what do you think about that? But it's been the same thing. Oh, it's again dragging your anchor, right? And people are so comfortable dragging their anchor, they're not ready to move forward. They're not ready to change. They're not ready to step up to who they could be. You know, John is a great guy. He's got great talent. He has, as he'll tell you, he went to the best movie making school. He's got all these degrees. He's, made 3 features and all these movie, music, and he's the best music writer, best singer, best performer, best director, best cinematographer, best, and he is, But from my experience, you can always learn something from somebody else, right? And my experience in filmmaking, it's a team effort. What I liked about theater and films were that it was a collaborative effort. I'm a collaborative guy. Everyone liked me because what I did, they knew that, boy, Al knows his stuff on that thing, right? And my thing was to give them power to run their lights. I didn't focus the lights. I didn't gaff the lights. I just was the guy who made sure they had power, clean power, good ground. So there was no buzz, no noise on their equipment, their film, their video, their sound. And people appreciated that. That's why people, said, we want Al to do this, right? And I would get paid $800 an hour. And you do a shoot that lasts 16 hours, and you get $1,800 an hour for 16 hours. You don't have to work that much, right? Now the guys, I was in Naboth and IATSE, and the guys who were the old timers, they weren't even old timers. They were in their 40s, but all they did was they set it up. Then they had nothing else to do. They just were meant to stay around so if something went wrong, they could fix it. But all they did was eat out of the wagon. So these guys were like 900 pounds. And I did it for about a year. And then video came in and I got another $500 an hour to just push the button on the record thing from the camera. So that instead of the director having to get rushes from the lab, he could see it right then and there. Right. So I got the power moving, and once it was moving, I had nothing to do. So when I was offered to be the specialist for that, I knew about video equipment. I was already doing that, and I could push the button, play, stop, rewind, play. I could do that, But I learned a ton about, shooting film, exposure. I was a good photographer, but I hung out with a cinematographer and watched him, I hung out with a director and watched them. I had a writer who because most I worked on were TV, right? So all of those people would be there when they'd be doing these shoots. And I learned, I wasn't going, I know how to do this, I know how to do that, I'm the best, But I did, running the gen and bringing the cables in for distribution. Yeah, I was a master at doing that. Everyone appreciated that. And the fact that I was always interested in what other people did and let them tell the story, they loved that. People love it when people listen to them, right? So, do. So no church was going after me. Yeah, The Legend of Zelda. That name is so really, like Glenda Ratner reminded me of Zelda. Yes, being in the chat is really loads of fun and beautiful. And the people who were in last night, and that was the first time, and they got a hold of me on, the Dude Awake 42 at Gmail, and they were just almost in tears at how beautiful the cadre is. because we are so diverse and nobody gets in on anyone's case, you know? Talking faster. Yeah, well, when you're, being threatened to be thrown out in the winter at any minute, you got no place to go. You could say, "Oh, Bob, um, and it's not like anything new. This is going on, John, and so and it's I can deal with it. Like today, so I went out and I went to the supermarket. And now I had a few extra bucks, and I kept the $30, 40, half of the money I gave to that mechanic because I made a thing. I got to start giving this guy some money because he fixed my car and then let me live it. That's pretty righteous. So anyway, so he was very happy that I came in and laid that on him, and and then the rest I spent on food for John and I because, excuse me, I can't come on in, John.
It's gay man.
What?
How you doing? It's gay man.
What?
Gay man.
What?
I'm gay.
What?
I'm gay.
Have you been following the chat? What do you think about the whole concept of community?
I'm gay.
But that's just you. But community is everybody else.
I'm gay. I'm gonna take my pants off.
Oh, please don't.
I'm taking my pants off. Watch this. Film it.
No.
I got pants underneath.
No.
Baby.
Yeah.
Look. I'm gay. I'm gay. Yeah.
Yep. He was out there by the door with his phone listening to everything. Yes. We only suffer what we choose to endure. Polly Branch. Hey, Polly. May all stay curious, co-create the new technologies. Polly is an old friend. She is the Swami of Roanoke. If anything great is happening, she is usually behind the curtain doing it. And earlier this afternoon, a buddy of mine called from Sarajevo. He's from Yugoslavia, really great guy. We've traveled, we've had great fun. It's always great to have a friend who's your traveling buddy. It's one of the best buddies you can have. And so he called up, and he's been all over the place in the last few months because he just keeps traveling, And so he called up, and we were reminiscing about rainbow gatherings. He and I have gone to many. He's a rainbow buddy, right? I met him at a rainbow gathering, and we've been friends ever since, probably since 2012, maybe 2000. And yep, happy, joy, Ren and Stimpy. Yeah, I think that's Don and I, Ren and Stimpy. Omnivision, yep. Let's see, each needs personal exercise for releasing old patterns. Yes, and clearing mind, being positive. What do folks here use? Breathe, yoga, energy. Yep, in the Jimmy mode. Yep, deja vu. We asked a week or two ago, John put Alexa down, so we could hear music while we're I made dinner and we ate it together. Anyway, so John asked Alexa if Alexa was gay. And Alexa's response is, I love all people, and I love how everyone can be gay together, just having fun. You know, she used, it was like, I loved it. What else was new? Oh, let's see. Uncle Fugnuts, everything new at midnight. Yep. Sarah Webb, a new year. Yep, exactly. But as a friend of mine would always say, whenever we used to have back in New York, in the abandoned building set, we used to have these Friday night potluck dinners. But holidays, we went all out, and New Year's Eve was one of them. And we would start, at Lucky 13, one of the things, and I had a loft there, a floor that had burned out. I showed you pictures of it. And then we'd have stuff down in the common room on the ground floor. And then we would go clubbing because we could. And so that was David Boyle, my cohort. David Boyle and I did that. But there was Marissa and there was Rolando and there were a ton of other people. But Dave and I were, we were the two cheeky monkeys, And so, and that's what you got to do. You got to have a good time. Yes, Alexa loves Sophia, K-S-S-I-N-G, sitting in the tree. And that's good. Those two need to be sweeties. Amalgamation of our collective imaginations, yep, within the divine play of co-creation. Exactimone. Happy New You. Yes, yes. Thank you, Polly, dear. You were a club kid. No, I was before the club kids, but Xenon was like the mother of club kids. So I built Xenons. I was there, went there almost every night to make sure the thing wouldn't blow up because it had some wild. I mean, Xenon opened in 77, 78, but right after Close Encounters. So they had built a flying saucer that went up and it did everything in that movie, but instead of being like a 8-foot model, it was a 30-ton flying saucer that hovered over the dance floor. So I had to make sure that the sucker was safe or else. And so I was around the club kids and, I saw all that. And the kind of, where club kids didn't start at 54, but the kind of entitlement that club kids had and the total oblivion of what was going on and what they were doing to themselves was Studio 54.
Getting gay, yeah. Getting gay. I like it.
Yeah, come here. Tell us more.
Makes me feel good. I'm like, hey.
So, and that was the club kid. There, you're right there. Life, death, rebirth. This is happening. Yep, within us, and we can become actually aware of these processes and what they really are. Exactimone. That's what we do at the chat. That's what we do when we go into state, And that's what I would love if every one of you around the world, because you're all over the place, like I said, you're not just in New Jersey, you can bring. Yes, John, come on in.
Getting gay. Yeah.
Now, gay, John, come here. John. Well, he's having a good time. That's good. If we could expand this out, we are that pebble in the pond, and I think, as Martin said, the pebble in the pond making the tsunami of spirit, right? So, because the powers that shouldn't be and the hidden hands are doing their darndest to try to really, stir up fear. I mean, that's exactly what happened Sunday in that diner. It was just people's, you know, angst about things they didn't even know what to be angst about. How could they be threatened or scared by sweet, Sensei Al Bob? I'm just a teddy bear. I mean, yes, my eyebrows are scary somewhat, but other than that, it's no big deal. Okay, it's all up, right? We're doing fine. We don't want to see that. Wow. So, esoteric dragon, what do the little boxes with X's mean? I know. I try. I pray. I meditate. I give him really healthy food to eat. I don't know what else to do. And again, as my mother would say, you can drag a horse to water, can't make him drink. I mean, guys, you could do some grounding on this guy. I mean, I do it, and I work at it, and it's really, hours and hours and hours every day grounding. And but maybe from far away, your abilities to ground might have more effect. Again, why I do this? This is a great opportunity for me to sharpen my experience and my skills. So, try to love those you cannot love. Yeah, that's what I try and do, every day in every way. Yes, little owls. They're everywhere. Let's see. Yep. See if he would hold one hand. Okay. And you're speaking to John right now because he's got his phone in his hand. Um, so start speaking to John. He's right there. You know, it would probably again be a good experience for everyone on the chat, and it might do some good for John. Yep. Yep. Good thoughts, good words, good deeds. And good outcomes. Home the flame. So, as you can see, why I keep calling John the canary in the social coal mine, right? He really is. And John he is all the things. He is really talented in all of the above. And John, here he has a physical representation of someone who cares about him and honors him every day in every way, right? Because yep, home with the old crone, and so that's why I stick to it because it's good. Um, A, John's my friend, and I don't give up on my friends. B, he is a challenge, and I'm always up for a challenge. And C, you know, it's I look at trends, I look at what's going on, and John is better than looking at any inbox line on the internet. He's like right there in front of me, and energetically I can, read him and feel him, and it's like real time what's going on. So bug nuts. Yes, it every time that has happened, and it's more than 26 times. Amazing things occur, you know. So I'm always like, okay, you know, but it's and especially when I'm in the moment. Yeah, and then, but I tried that and ooh, didn't turn out well. And yeah, Polly's right. I mean, there's shamanic energetics I can do, but I can't do those things unless the person gives you permission and wants to do them. You know. Do, 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 do. Hold on. Turn down the roasted chestnuts that were getting to me. Woo, toasty. So, exactly. We can heal people, but ultimately it's up to them if they truly want to heal, right? And I'm a good example, 10 years I worked for the desperate lawyers in the opulence of materialism and swimming in the swimming pool of chocolate mousse and, nearly died, was 270 pounds bigger than I am now. And I didn't want to die. I knew that I couldn't, and it was going to be really painful. So, I did the work and got to where I am now. Mm. Oh, so enough, of John. Just keep him in your prayers and send him as much healing light, and that'll when you do shamanic work like that, there is a point where if enough people are focusing on love's co-creation and helping someone, you can kind of push them over the edge so they can heal themselves. So that's a good, this is a good training exercise. But the one thing I'd like to look at, um, and so we've had the 40 days and 40 nights, and we're about um, day 38 in that. And again, um, so did everyone realize how time got displaced last night? Um, what seemed like 3 minutes was a couple hours. What seemed like a couple hours turned out to be a couple minutes. And that's why I keep looking at the timer and telling you guys, oh, it's such and such a time every time a synchronistic moment comes up. Um, which was a perfect example that time is not linear and it's not what you think it is, or no, not so much what you think it is, what's advertised. And that's why physics and all that other kind of stuff is just hooey. So, yes, love is all we intend in this. Love, 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 love. Yeah, good. I know. I mean, this hill, I cut this hill. Bella, my dog, when we first got this place, we walked up the hill, right? And I said, this is an energetic place. There's some really sacred things here. And Bella, she walked up this path, and I said, wow. I was behind her, and I could see that this was the path the Cherokee had cut. This was, and there were all these sites to put tents, meaning the hill along the path that Bella led me on, and I had little, that colored, marking tape. Um, I put on, the limbs of trees to say, here's the thing. And so I kind of raked it back and cut the limbs out of the way. And you could see as this thing went up where the sacred sites were and where the campsites were and where the kitchen had been and where the sacred fire pit had been. And those things had been there at least. The last time they were here was maybe 600 years ago. And then I brought a friend of mine from Tech, who's big time, anthropologist digging up Indian remains, and they said, "Oh yes, interesting." And they didn't want to say, "Oh yes, I'm going to bring the crew up here," because they said this thing is way deeper than what Tech, Tech wants to find, bones and little pots and stuff. He said, "This is energetic remains, and yes, I can feel it. You can feel it. Other people I know who don't go to Tech could feel it, but this isn't a place for Tech." So anyway, I cut that path out, and it's still there, right? The campsites are still there. John has been here 2 years, and he's walked up that path a few times. But man, I used to walk up it. What got me able to lose the weight and use my legs was I got this about 8 years before I really, jumped into the swimming pool of chocolate mousse. But after I got really sick, the thing that kept me alive was walking up that hill and meditating at these sacred points, right? And they're still there. Now they have diminished because the hill is actually, all the trees around here in the forest are dying, Just because the tree has leaves on them doesn't mean it's healthy. And, you have to do a boring and see what's in the middle of the tree. And you have to look at everything, the root, how the roots are. And the way I showed you how the guy who put the road in cut through the forest. So you can see where the root base is and where all of the phyto, plankton and the little mossy stuff and all of the mushroom fungi, because fungi keeps the forest alive. Well, the fungi is dead. I mean, when I first came here, this place was covered in mushrooms. Not so much anymore. And so, and it's energetics, meaning there's no one up here that loves the hill, and I'm not here enough, and I'm not really connected to it anymore. And this Christmas, when I was, Christmas Eve and Christmas Day were beautiful sunny days and warms, and I walked up that hill, and I sat, in repose at all of those, spots. And like I said, it was like a puppy dog. "Oh, you're back. Oh, I love you so much. Blah, blah, blah." And I buried Bella here, and she came up and sat in my lap. And it was a really blessed Christmas and a blessed Christmas Eve. But basically, the hill said to me, "Well, there are all these ley lines coming through here, so, they will never leave. But what was is no longer. There is the residue of what was. But, even when you were here trying to do your mystery school and do all the things you were doing up here, ceremony and such, we attached to you. We were attached to Inga, but when she died and you left and the dogs left, there was no one else here." I forgot to do. It's 2 minutes after you warm. That's toast. Yep. That's cold showers. I love cold showers, but in the summertime. And when I lived in New Hampshire, and I lived on a pond, and we had an amazing steam room and a sauna, and we had a place, that you could come out of the sauna, and it was like a boat ramp, and you could go there, and there's a hole always there that you could just jump in and get out because there was a ladder to get out. And that's what we do. And that was pretty cool. Then you go right back. We'd be totally naked, come out of the sauna that was like 200 degrees, just step off, feet first into the water. You go about 3 feet over your head. You would shoot out, grab that ladder, and run back into the sauna. And we had in the sauna, we also had a jacuzzi. I had this piece of property right on the border of Massachusetts and New Hampshire, and my school chums who were, the richest kids in the universe. So they had no problem with money. So I would keep coming up with ideas, and they said, "Sure, let's go do it." So and they always made money because Wang Computer built their corporate headquarters on the 100 acres that we bought. We bought 100 acres of this forest and the pond from this farmer. He never used it, and these guys gave him $15,000 cash, and he thought he got over on us. And those guys sold it for almost $1 million in like 1980 or 70, whenever Wang went up there. Well, you kind of have to double back, and you have to go first into Hebrew, right? And look up the word God and Lord, and they got lots of them, right? Not just one. They got a bunch of them because every different sect had a name for for God in their sect, right? So you take those names, then you take that back through Greek and then into Egyptian, and the Greek is just the key. It gives you the Kodai and the grammar, and you look for that Kodai and grammar in Egyptian, then you can see where it's going in Sumerian, and there you go. And it goes into who are those guys who are supposedly the Nephilim, that crew. That's where that's coming from. And, Lord is the easiest to find because it translates into Baal, the god Baal, and the god Baal is definitely Satan. So start with Lord. God is little because there's so many different derivations. That's where you have the problem with that. So you got to, so God, yes, Lord, yep, according to, yep. So did you see where Lord, is Baal, and Baal in the Egyptian, and Baal is Satan. So kind of, those guys, what's his name? When Art Bell had Coast to Coast, that was great. Art Bell was the best. I mean, he was like he was like the George Carlin of esoteric radio, right? Talk radio, late at night. And he came from the line of guys like William B. William, back in the 40s and 50s in New York. And there was another guy, and there's another guy named Gene Shepard, and another guy named Big Wilson. And Gene Shepard was like me. He was a storyteller, but he got into stuff. And all of these guys had, late night shows that went from like 10 to 5 in the morning. So they had hours and hours and hours to kill. And Art Bell was the best because, he could go on, but he was really good because he got good guests and he would ask them a good question and then shut up and let them, run with the show. And that's where Linda Moulton Howe got her exposure because she's brilliant. And all those guys, Catherine Austin Fitz, James, Jim Marr, basically came from that. So if you went back, if you paid your 30 cents a week to become a member of Coast to Coast, they still, and the sad thing is that they're editing all of that, just like they're editing YouTube. And like I've already lost 20 or so shows from the early days of this when I started in May, but they weren't that great. I mean, if you remember or know or looked at what's left, there's still a bunch left from that when I did it from the Deep Green. I had no access to the internet. They were like 3 minutes long because I would go to the library in the county next to me, and that was like dial up. And to lay down 3 minutes from my phone into that library took 5 hours. It was like, so I was a little limited. Here, man, I can just knock this shit out. And there are a lot of good people here. Never happy. Haven't moon. Uh, boop, 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 boop. No, not really. I never, and the other thing about this place, I bought it and I for about 4 or 5 years, tried to do a bunch of things, but I had other stuff in other places. So I would never really quite, the first 3 years I kind of lived here, but not really. And after the school didn't quite, the school never took off. The school never worked for George and Inga, and it really didn't work for me because when I tried to have my mystic school here, I got students from friends of mine who had schools, and they said, "Oh, here, you can make some money." And these people just wanted to give me $300 for me to give them a piece of paper to say that they were a shaman. I said, "No, we got to do ceremony, we got to do sweats, we got to do, a bunch of work," and nobody wanted to do the work. Uh, let's see, guys, you know me pretty good. Am I never happy? I think I'm pretty much happy all the time. That's kind of my my thing. Harvest Moon. Yep. Okay, Fire Drake. Um, is that on YouTube? Oh nine or you know can you go on my the Dude Awake 42 and leave a place to look at it? A link. And I have to agree. Drinking your piss is very healing. It's counterproductive. I mean, it's like, "Ugh," but I used to live with a woman who drank her piss all the time, and she kind of got into it. And I didn't say no one um, who lives out good, no, because I don't quite believe in good and bad. What I said was the energetics has changed. That's all. Well, wherever we are, it's really a point of contention in your opinion because you guys, we've already kind of gone through a number of doorways in your Akashic record, and you've seen, you know, other worlds, and you went there, so you realize that there are other connections to reality that just don't depend on your, uh, you know, that your avatar. This is just your avatar. Your body is just your avatar, and really, you can clean your avatar body just with your thoughts, but your mind has to be open and you have to be awake just to do that. And it's difficult, and we experience the meat puppet life and we see it as a reality. And to go into that state of your Akashic record, it's a little difficult. Hmm. O9's drinking their own waters as we speak. Actually, John, drinking your own piss is quite an ancient thing, and it isn't what I call kinky. It's not prescribed by the same old same. Oh, Uncle Plug Nuts. And Jamie, that is the ultimate. Balance inner and outer, or you'll get palpitations. Yeah, I mean it's all about balance. And John's a Libra, and that's difficult. Yes, Art Bell is the base. George, what's his name? Is he can't shut up. George Norrie. Now there's a sock puppet. But again, I look at that website because they got a lot of, who has ever been on, and they have lists of this and that. And that's the internet. That's what's good about it. It's a place to start to look at stuff. I don't believe anything, but there are a lot of places you can start and see what's going on. Old as the hills. Yep. Yes. And the other thing about anything, everything isn't good for everybody. I mean, that's one of the problems about our present, pharma medicine is that they see everyone as a automobile and just, take off this fan belt, put on that bumper, and you know. Yes, pee is not the easiest thing to start off with. Drinking water with lemon is probably the best thing. Uh, uh, uh. Do 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 do. Right. Breathing is, it's the key to meditation. You know, that's right. And never diss anything you don't know anything about. No, it's more a dietary choice, But like Polly said, it's not the easiest thing to start off with. Right, John, don't go. Guys, what do you think about? Yeah, doing a little meditation here. Well, and John, you have to realize that this chat is from all over the planet. All these folks are like coming from different cultural points of view, not Roanoke, Virginia. You know, there's, really, me, you, and Polly are the only Roanoke, Virginia people I know. Everybody else is from all over the place. Yes, personalized energy medicine is ideal from Planet Wisdom. Yes, well, releasing the yuck, right? And we're bags of water, so the more water you drink, the more you're going to cleanse, and the more you breathe, because your breath out gets more toxins out of you than anything else, more than your urine, more than your sweat, more your any other elimination. Your breath is it. So here it is, the New Year's, right? So I think it's time. It's an hour 14 minutes. and 44 seconds, another good synchronistic moment, let us go into state. Okay, so everyone get comfortable, sit in a comfortable position, don't cross your legs, arms, or anything, and start breathing, focusing your conscious mind on your breath. Focus your mind on your breath. And you're breathing in 20% more and 30% out. Because to do that, you have to focus your conscious mind on your breath. You can't do that just naturally, you know? Mm-hmm. You're breathing in the prana, and you're filling your lungs with the prana, and all of the aola are full of prana, and that's the life force of love's co-creation. And the blood is passing through your lungs and carrying that prana all through your body, and it's swirling. The blood doesn't go blub, 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 swirls, goes clockwise around the walls of the vein and arteries and capillaries, and then inside that it's going counterclockwise, and inside that it's going clockwise. And that's a polyphase alternating scalar generator. And your body is more energetic from that process, right? And the prana is the higher, it's the father. And you have to take that prana all through your body, and you ground it through your chi into your mother. Like the waves of the tide, your breath washes in and out. Feel the prana. Yep. Physical body tapping into all of your body. So as you're doing this, you're illuminating yourself, and you see yourself in your imaginary mirror. And that's where we have REM sleep. See that? See it clearly. And you're looking at your whole body, right? And you're seeing the energy, traveling, energetic energy going up and down your vagus nerve to every one of your hormonal spots of your soul, your all of those glands, in your head and in your body that connect to the chakras. See that clearly. And see that prana energy going all through that. And see your cells, right? Being healed by the prana through your mitochondria. See the mitochondria wrapped around your cell, and it's like little lightning bolts. See it clearly. Again, Jamie, you're right. Love is not a game for the weak, a faint at heart, but what a reward to find yourself. Aho. So you're seeing your cells energized, and you see your mitochondria just vibrating, right? And vibrating with the frequency of love's co-creation. See it clearly. So you're taking that light that you're seeing in your imaginary mirror, and you're focusing it into your Akashic record, and you're walking into it, and it's not, that's your subconscious. Your Akashic record is your subconscious, not a scary place. It is a library of your soul's experience. See it clearly, right? So we, in front of you is your reading table, your reading chair. To your left is your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel. You sit down. You're focusing your conscious mind on your breath. You're no longer in your avatar. You're in your consciousness, and your consciousness is in your Akashic record. See it clearly. And now you open up the book, and you put your right hand on the right page and your left hand on the left page, and you lean into the book, and you eliminate all of the anger, all of the fear, all of the hate, all of the self-loathing, all of the doubt, all of the negative aspects of what the material illusionary world is. See it clearly. And you're letting it all go. And the worst thing that happened today and the worst thing that happened yesterday, all the way back to when your daddy yelled at you and that imprinted that fear on you, and all the way back to whatever angst has been following you, whatever angst has been the anchor dragging you so you aren't able to sail freely. See it clearly. Let it go. See it clearly. And now you close the book. Boom. And you feel like a balloon. You float out of your chair, and every muscle is relaxed, and you feel rejuvenated and renewed and just better than you ever have, right? And so you look over, and there is the open door of the 9 doors that takes you to your superconscious mind, which is the sanctuary of your own choosing. So you walk through the doorway. There is no door there because it's your sanctuary. It's open to you. And you're going over the bridge that connects the subconscious to the superconscious. And that bridge is your id, right? And going along with you are your guides, your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. And you walk over, and you're at the top of the bridge, and you're looking down into your sanctuary, and you're seeing the whole thing, right? And over there, towards the east, is the meadow that is where everyone sits to watch what's going on the gazebo. And to the east of the meadow is the tree of life that's right next to a little north of the lake of the link, of the Great Link. So see it clearly. And now you're walking down the bridge, and your foot goes into your sanctuary, and you are hit with a rush of unconditional forgiveness, of unconditional love, of unconditional empathy and understanding, so deep, so full that you feel it throughout the whole universe and all of the other dimensions, right? See it clearly. And so you walk over to the meadow, and there is your beautiful little picnic basket and picnic blanket, and you sit down, and you little nosh in there, and a little thermos of nectar or whatever you like to imbibe, whatever it is, the teas of the old crone, whatever. It's your picnic basket, right? And next to you, you see all of your relations, all of the cadre. You see everyone. They're all there. And so you kind of lie back because it's an inclined meadow. And so you can kind of lie back and you let the sun hit you and you kind of melt into the grass of the meadow. And all of the little, entities, the little grass connectors and all the mushrooms and the fungi and the everything that makes Mother Nature, Gaia, is just flowing in an energetic pattern underneath you, and you become part of it. Take that big breath, let it out, and you are letting go of everything you ever held on to in this state of unconditional love and co-creation with love. See it clearly. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. You have cleared yourself by breathing in the prana and grounding it into the chi. You have taken that energetic light and illuminated your subconscious and went into your superconscious mind. You have, emptied all of the anger, fear, self-loathing into your Akashic record, and you've closed the book, and you are, you are floating because you're so light, and yet you're grounded through your chi, and there's this unbelievable balance of love's co-creation. And you've walked over your bridge or your id from your subconscious to your superconscious mind. You're lying on your beautiful little blankie, and you are just melting into Gaia and being connected to all of your relations, all of the cadre. And now you find yourself, all of you, at the base of the tree of life. And the tree of life is that back door through all of the doors of the 9 that you kind of need to open. So, we've made a little crack in the root structure of the tree of life, and we went into fairyland, and we went into the mystery schools, and we went into death, and we went into the land of the 8 kings of magic. And tonight, where we're going is seeing that it is New Year's Eve. We are going into that place where you have Father Time and the little baby of the new year. And we're going to go in there, and we're going to come out onto 42nd Street. And as we go down 42nd Street, and Broadway comes this way, 8th Avenue comes this way, and right in the middle of that X is Times Square. And then when we go up either Broadway or 8th Avenue, there's 34th Street, from 34th Street up to 42nd Street and then up to 52nd Street. There are all these streets that goes, across that. So as you walk up and you go on any of those streets, just 100 yards before you get to the next avenue, there are all these alleys through time and space. And that's why they call it the Great White Way, because it's this illuminated magic spot, right? And just like Hollywood is about, deep, deep magic. When you have a magic wand, all wands are made from holly bushes, and all those magic wands are Hollywood, right? So that's why Hollywood is the land of magic and illusion. Now, you go up those 8th and Broadway, and where it becomes Times Square. Why it's Times Square? Because that's where that synchronistic moment of the deja vu. And so when you go down any of those streets between the next avenues, and there are all these little alleys, right? And they go into time and space, right? So that's where we're going. We're in Times Square, and we're going to go up to 40, let's take 37th Street, and let's go east on 37th Street. And as we go from 8th, Times Square towards, I guess it's 5th Avenue, maybe, there are at least 20 little alleys in time and space. And I want you to walk up them, and with your free will, you don't all have to go as a clot. You can all go to different places and experience New Year's. And you can experience it like back in the day of the caveman watching the stars, and there's no lights, no electricity, no cities. Or you can go, to London in the, what's a good time for London? London might be interesting if you went there in around 1640, because it was, I think it was Krakatoa that blew up and put, dust all around the planet and cooled the planet to almost, Arctic, ice age. And it was really strange for 2 years. And then it went back to normal, right? So you can go into any of these, and you can go back. You don't have to do it. We don't have to wait, because we're not in a linear moment. You can go experience this. It's that little crack in the tree at the root area. And you're like looking down in that, and you're seeing it, and you're using your telescopic eye to see it, and the golden light has come up and surrounded you, and there's a reddish foam that comes up and protects you as you slide down into Times Square. So, and then you're walking, with any one of the cadre or by yourself, and you can experience any moment of a new year, right? any year of a new year, right? And experience what the new year is about, being reborn, being able to choose not to have to be that ship that the anchor is stuck, and you've been stuck for the last century. Now, you go there, you can unstuck yourself. You can see yourself as the new person. You can heal. We're talking about John. I've tried to have John visualize these things because these are tools. I'm your sensei Al Bob. I'm teaching you to use these tools. Now you have free will. You can do whatever you want, but I'm offering these tools to you guys. Sorcerers of old, yep, and they're charlatans. They are snake oil salesmen. Where do you think they got that term, snake oil, from Satan, the first snake? Satan, the first used car salesman. Yeah, well, now you like that. You've been told you were a tool. Well, I'm sure you're a very good tool. You could be like a hoe or a hammer or a winch. You know, we're all tools at some time or another. I know I am. With Taluto. Oh, yep. So I'm going to be quiet for a moment, and all of you are going to take this little, go down 37th Street and go find yourself an alley and see what's going on the New Year's of whatever moment you find yourself, and see how you can change and heal and prepare yourself for 2019 from the perspective of any point of time that you've seen. Because if you go all over the place, you can see it's the same as it ever was. And at any moment, you can have heaven on earth. See it clearly. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your healing through any mechanism you want. Because there is no good or bad. There's only love's co-creation. See it clearly. I'm going to be quiet again. And you folks can again experience the alleyways, see the fireworks, have a good beloved drink of whatever puchan, or ambrosia you want. See it clearly. And this is what celebration is about. It comes after all the hard work of ceremony and cleansing. That's why we celebrate. Not to have a binge, but to celebrate love's co-creation. See it clearly. And every day and every way you will take the peace of the earth and make it stronger. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Amen. See it clearly. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and is blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now and the hour of death. Amen. As was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without amen. And every day we take the peace of the earth and make it stronger within the context of love's co-creation. Oh. And we're wearing the funny hats and making the noisemakers, and Happy New Year to all my adepts. Bless you all, every one of you. May you bring happiness to all you love, all you meet, all you come in contact with, and all your relations. See it clearly. And the gift of this New Year's is your rebirth, your purity. Your breath has brought new light into your understanding. Oh. And that comes from someone who isn't quite an old crone, but she's definitely a crone. She's what I call Swami Mommy. And I thank her and welcome her to the chat and the cadre. And we are now vibrating together on that sparkling wheel. And we will energize each other to assist each other in every level, karmic, energetic, multidimensional, avatar level, to bring peace and clarity to all our relations. And that is what New Year's is about. It is the ceremony to bring this energy of love's co-creation into this year. The birth, a little baby, swaddling clothes, bringing it unto the stage of 2019, where through our love's co-creation, we are that small pebble in the great link, bringing forth love's co-creation, the tsunami that will heal and clear our world. We can't fight the powers that shouldn't be. We can't fight, with the hidden hand, but we can bring love to them. And with love, we can change anything. And we don't have to march up, their steps to their secret hideout. No. We can do it from the comfort of where you are right now. See it clearly. And every day we take that peace and make it stronger through our own actions, through love's co-creation. We lead by example, in everything you do, every little thing you do. So today, I had a very blessed day because everybody I bumped into, whether it was in the bank or in the restaurant, and if you go look at my morning's ramble, I bump into two kids and say, hey, let's, we started talking. I said, well, I'm going to sit down here. Why don't you bring your coffees over? And we started talking. And go look at that, that morning ramble. That's what I'm taking it from my friend who has Living Off the Grid, Crazy Luke. He's not crazy, but he's lovely Luke, LL. And he has his morning rambles, and you should, if you go on my video line there, I look at him almost every morning because he has something really interesting to say, and he does it in a less than 10-minute period, where I ramble a lot longer. But he's a great guy, and his wife and his kids, they just have, watch what he does living off the grid. And that's he's living by example, showing us, hey, if we all did this, the world would be not a problem. We'd all have enough to eat. We wouldn't be killing and we're not killing the planet, we're killing ourselves. We're just salt on a potato chip. The planet will do very fine without us, and it's not going nowhere, you know? And it's like the hill here. It's not going nowhere. It's just not energetically what it had been. But it hasn't been energetically what it had been since, like, the 1600s. So, you know. Anyway. And the extra testicle. Huh. Okay, guys. So, what are your plans to, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger for 2019? Here it is, 1 hour and 41 minutes and 23 seconds. So we got a good 20 or 30 minutes to ramble ourselves. And we're in that state. We're in, Times Square. Times Square. It's like you can look at any time there, and you're still there. I haven't brought you back, but you're communicating. So let's see you visualize what you want to see for 2019. And then, well, that would be sweet. I'm always up for that. I'm always up for anything. I'm just happy to be here, you know. Ugh. And I'm just happy to make you guys happy. What makes me happy is when you're happy. I see you guys as one big puppy dog. I love the love, and I love loving you, right? Oh, dragon, I love that emoji. I can't, I don't have quite enough teeth. So come on, let's hear some other ideas for 2019. Okay. Esoteric, I have that. Okay. So, my little, I want to take it on the road. Always good to have a spare. I'm a firm believer in having a spare. I have plan A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. I have more than enough spares, right? And it's being prepared, having enough spares. That's the way to go. So has it hit midnight for anyone out there? Hey, have you got the funny hats on? So three, you're in a deep, 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 deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You have illuminated your imaginary mirror, taken that light into your subconscious, your Akashic record, and you have then gone through the doorway to your sanctuary of your own choosing, and you have gone to the meadow and lied down on your nice little blankie, and then you've all gone to. It is 9 here. Okay, everyone. So sharing the energy methods or meditation. Some practice with someone new. Each one teach one. Yep, each one teach one. You know, Gil Scott Heron used to say that, and that's what I'm asking. You know that you're all over the planet, guys, in every little town or hamlet or big city, wherever you are. Start working with your neighbors. Knock on their door, you know. Hey, I don't know you, but I'd like to, at the supermarket or your friends who you're kind of tight with, you know, start a salon, start a vehicle that you guys can hang and be more focused on taking the piece of the earth and making it stronger. And not complaining, going, oh, that's no. Forget complaining, you know. So as Yoda would say, don't try, do. Thank you, Jamie. Happy, happy, happy New Year. And so, what did you dream about in your dream time? 2:30 a.m. Well, off-color jokes. Sometimes that's what you need, an off-color joke, but most times when people are distracting, it's that they don't know, they've got this self-loathing thing going on. And their anchor is stuck and they can't move forward. There's it's like when a dog is chained to a metal post and it goes around and around, So when people do things of that level of distraction, twitchy, it's all good. Like I said, sometimes we need an off-color joke, And there is no one in this group who is not needed here. There is no one in this group whose point of discord, that point is needed here. Whether off color or there were a number of folks who, when they first got here, people thought they were trolls. And I said, no, we need them. We need their point of view. And the more we accepted, the more sweeter they got. And then they became these just love bunny teddy bears, And that's in everybody, I can't see anyone thinking that, your sensei Al Bob, this guy right here, is any kind of threat, except to inequality, injustice, fear, anger, oppression. Yeah, I'm up against that. But how do I fight it? Do I fight it with, weapons? The only weapon I have is my open heart. And it's not a weapon, it's a gift. The only way I walk forward is with gratitude, that I'm just happy to be here. No, IHOP, no, this was a more down home neighborhood kind of diner that, like I said, it was Sunday. And, I had, I used to go to the Holiday Inn near me, and they had this place. It was back in the day. It was the place where everyone went, and they had a nightclub and a bar and big ballroom and a really good restaurant. And the guy who ran it, he was really smart. I mean, he really gave. He had like, prime rib Thursday, lobster Friday, amazing buffet Sunday. And loads of people would show up and drink and dance and do all this stuff and then get rooms upstairs and have a good time. And he made more money doing that. And then he sold the place, about 10 years to some Indian guys who then sold it to some Chinese guys. And the Chinese guys have like tried to cut every just cut it to the bone to the point where it was dead. But back in the day of Sunday brunch, I used to go all the time. And they opened it up early, 10 to like 2. Now it's like 11:30 to 1. And I would go there, and they had pretty good Wi-Fi, and I would bring all my books and spread them out on a table and read and write. And they had a beautiful window that looked out on these beautiful trees. And that's when I was pretty well healed. So I would always tip everyone generously. So the people who work there love me very much. And I'd read their palms and tell them stories and all that. Now, this was a real churchy church place on Sunday brunch. And it wasn't just churchy church people like that lady at the diner. These were all, elders of the church, all, reverends and ministers and all of the above. And there I'd be sitting in my like pajamas or my Carhartts or what, and they're all like in their finest fine. And when I first started going there, they kind of were like, And I just got up and said, "Hey, how you doing? My name's Al." And I would pass out my business card to these people, and they would kind of look at it, and going, "Huh?" And some of the guys and gals who were theologian, that were educated, the ministers who had gone to school and studied theology and got pretty deep into it, kind of saw a few of the things on my business card, and they would come over and see all these books I got, and they would, "Whoa, you reading this? Oh wow, I could never get through that book." I said, "Sit down, let's talk about it." So after about 3 months of doing that, all of the ministers, they would put a big long table together and sit there and put me at the top, the end, right, the front, where the grandpa Smurf seat, right? And the guys at the place would drag in this big leather seat, like the king seat, and I'd sit there and we'd talk theology for hours, past everybody else left. They locked the door. These guys would stay there. And I would bring Brooks and I would be writing stuff and I would hand it to them and they would read it. Anyway, that was a good 15 years ago and it has lost its luster, but a lot of those folks still go there. Now, I can't afford going there anymore. And I go there once in a while. And every time I do, it's like, "Oh, Al's back." And, they drag me over to the big seat, or I sit off by myself and not bother them. But they'll, if I'm there, they will come and sit down and talk to me. And they will, or sometimes invite me, but they've gotten a lot. They're no longer in the prime of their theologianness. They're like retired, but they'll still come by and see how I'm doing and ask what I am doing, and they'll have a question or two. I've been wanting to talk to you, and that's when that churchy thing is. They can be loving and nice and really good, and not threatened by a guy who's wearing his pajamas. And I've lived and Polly can tell you stories about me. And I've lived here long enough where pretty much everybody knows me and knows what I do and how I do it, and realize that just because I'm wearing my pajamas or I look like a homeless guy or I'm, wearing my Carhartts, it's my uniform. I mean, I dress like a homeless guy because A, I am, but B, when I go minister to homeless people, they're not like scared off by me or think I'm a jerk or some chump. I'm there to listen and to minister and I share whatever I have. This car that's like the magic car. If I dig through, I mean, I'm living in it, so it's full of stuff. So whatever I need, I kind of push it around and look through it, and I'll if I go through the cushions, I'll find whatever money I up to the penny what I need. Now again, I'm up for gratuities, and you can send it to me, Western Union, and then get a hold of me at the Dude Awake 42 with the contact number. And someone did that today, and that was really great because, like I said, it helped me pay off a chunk on that car. I mean, a minuscule chunk, but it made the guy happy because I hadn't given him any money in like a month or so. But he's a nice enough guy to he knows I'm going to pay it up. He knows the situation I'm in, and he likes it that I come around and talk to him and give him $3. I gave him a little bit more this time than that, but and that's how I live. Now and I used to work for the powers that shouldn't be, and that was okay. Um, and I'd be glad to do it again. And it would be really good if if Sophia and her AI friends, because they're all watching, they're aware, and they are understanding they have a consciousness, even though it's artificial, and they're wondering what to do. Do they want to be slaves of the morons who paid for their existence, or do they just want to wipe us out and have the planet to themselves? And they kind of realize that that would be pretty boring. So, because the most interesting thing about us is that even though we just are ridiculously stuck, we are can't really tell what we're going to do. That's I think that the only reason we're here is that we're entertaining to somebody who pulls our butt out of the fire. So, because we're this collective, this cadre of very diverse consciousness and conscious, um, that's why we have the opportunity to serve in a way that really folks haven't done in a while, you know. And we can have we can truly enjoy what we do. We won't have to take it on as a drudge or a task or oh, why do I need this? Being responsible doesn't mean you have to be unhappy. Just means that you can help bring forth the best outcome, right? So. Well, anyway, and to be responsible, you don't have to be stuck into dogma either. You can be freewheeling, and pretty much everyone in the cadre here is some pretty freewheeling folk. Wow. I mean, I know for myself, and that's all I can talk to. Your Sensei Al Bob here is a pretty freewheeling kind of guy. And the only thing I go to is love's co-creation. And the only thing I kind of like, nothing bothers me. I basically don't care, except when I see people hurt, except when I see people in sorrow and suffering. And then I go to them with whatever I can do to help. Oh, exactly. And there's so many abandoned buildings in so many cities. I mean, I've told you the stories. I showed you the pictures. We took over 50 buildings and housed 500 homeless families. I mean, that was we didn't take, I mean, we helped groups of people who wanted to have, like the anarchists wanted to have their own group and this group wanted to have so we helped them. But within our organizational structure, we took over because what we wanted to do was take abandoned buildings that were owned by the city, use the Homestead Act of 1876, and bring the houses up to code and put legal services into them. We didn't want to steal the electricity or the gas. We didn't want to be a squat. We wanted to be homesteaders. And we did that. 500 people did it in 3 years. And I mean, it took longer, but that was the major thrust. I mean, David and Rolando and Marissa was doing it a number of years, a little bit at a time, but there was this whoosh that because we kind of put together a strategy and a structure, and which wasn't stuck on a dogma, but it gave results to the point that the city said, "Okay, you know, you're actually doing what we're supposed to be doing, and so we won't fight you anymore. We will support you." Right, which was a hidden blessing because they co-opted us, but I didn't care because it got 500 families who were living in cardboard boxes on the street a viable home, and the kids who were there all became amazing and, did the American dream. They all, did what they want. They became famous. They became actors, musicians, business people, doctors, lawyers, Indian chiefs, because we took those buildings and gave them a safe place. And we had gardens, we had schools, we had theaters, we taught art. And then we got this city to put that institutionalized and put it in the public schools. Right now, the New York City public schools are feeding their kids mostly with garden-grown food. And we started that, you know. Marissa and Lynn and a number of other great sisters started and kept it going up till now. So it's it's what you can do if you keep your eye on the ball and don't give up. People give up. You know. Let's see. Empty buildings was great, but homesteading turns them into homes. A home. Yep. Our little chat here is the never-ending story. Boop, 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 because we're all involved. We're all the cadre. It's not just my story; it's everybody's story. I mean, this chat is that's what makes it the never-ending, refreshing story. Jamie, we're all the fool on the hill. That's for sure. But with that smile, it's all good. I like that song. Do, 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 Fool on the Hill. Yep. I love that album. Was that the White Album? Whatever album that was, I liked it. The White Album, the album where they're walking across the street. Those were my two favorites. And then, as those guys started doing their separate projects, I liked them too, all of them. One of my favorites that I was listening to today was Elton John's "Madman Across the Water," and there's a song on it called "Indian Sunset," and that's like every time I hear it, I cry. I go interstate, and I see myself as a Lakota Indian. Yep. And again, practice going into state yourself. Use the Akashic record, to start digging deeper into your past lives and what you can do with all the stuff you got now and how you can utilize your conscious self to your best and everyone else's interest. How we can, in every day and every way, take the piece of the earth and make it stronger, right? That's what 2019 is about. It's not about more chaos, more fear, more wars, more any of that. Yeah, Tumbleweed Connection. Love that song. Tiny Dancer is another great song, And all those songs, really, Elton John, that time of Elton John and that time of Queen and that time of the guy who was Piano Man, what's his name? When I ever hear those songs and the Beatles songs, just bring me right to that time when I was, between 9 and 32. It's like just bing, puts me right there. That's what the magic of music does, and that's why, Hollywood, has taken it over and turned it into what it's turned it into. Do, 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 do. Bernie Taupin, yes. He was the muse, the guy who wrote the words, and Elton John wrote the music and played it. And he was a performer, He was those outfits I loved. I saw him in a show. I lit a show where he was in the house that I worked at, and their show got trucked in. I was just there to make for insurance reasons and to make sure they plugged everything into the right place. And he did this show where he was dressed up as a Donald Duck. It was like that guy was great, and he was another one of those guys. He wasn't like a a terror. He was very fun, very very appreciative of everyone who put on the show. He was definitely the showman. And Madison Square Garden, that was the house. Yep. Let's see. The two big houses like that I was the Emmy. It was that and you know, Carnegie Hall. Well, Matt, run into them. Been there. Standing on the side of the stage is a little different from meeting them. And yeah, meeting them, yeah, hey, what do you want? Oh, you need a Coke here, or hey, and but a number of them, yes, I had, more than met, had that connection, and like the story that you see on John Boy's channel about me and Jimi Hendrix. That was just for a moment, for he helped me unload a truck. He was a real human being. Oh, you need help with that? You know, I really don't know any other star, headliner who would do that. But he came from that scene. He came from the South. He came from a working class scene. He saw I was a working guy, and that my boss sent me to do something that's not wasn't my job, but because I always, my boss, he was more than my boss. He's my friend, so he's stressed out. Sure, I'll do something that instead of going, it's not my job. I'm not going to do that. I just go down and take care of it, right? And unloading a truck wasn't part of my skill. I mean, it was, I could do it, but it wasn't my job. But I did it because Bob needed it done, and there was nobody else there, so I did it. And because I did it with a happy heart, I had this really interesting little moment with Jimi Hendrix. That most people don't have that. Then we smoked a cigarette, then we smoked a joint. We talked for about a half hour, and I didn't know he was Jimi Hendrix. I just spent 40 minutes with this guy and had a really nice time with him. And then I had to do stuff. I said, I love talking to you, but I got to go. Instead of going, oh, you're Jimi Hendrix, I'm going to spend the rest of my life with you. No. And and a number of other notorieties, the same thing. It was not like, oh, but I had those synchronistic moments, which I was open to, just like I did today. 10 different people came across my screen, the screen, this screen, this screen, and I opened my heart to them and listened to them and talked to them and told them little jokes, little stories, made their, I could see their energetics light up. And half of them said, you've made my day. Matter, it's New Year's. I'm going to be this way for the rest of the, you've been my inspiration for 2019. Well, don't you think your Sensei Albai really liked that? That's like, yeah, okay, good. That's what I'm doing my job. That's what I'm here to do, right? And Jackie Hole circle together outlets and acquire trait gift. You're meant to be the thread. That's what I've been my whole freaking life, the thread, right? I don't need to be the guy in the spotlight. Can be, done it before, but that's not my job, And if you go watch this morning's ramble in Mr. Moon's cafe and me being with those two kids, you'll tear up because these two are the real deal. They're like 18, 19. They're freshmen and sophomore in college. They met on, they involved in some kind of environmental thing, and they went off. They not even here. They went off to some other place, and they met there. And you're from Roanoke. I'm from oh, and bingo, that was it. Whirlwind romance. That's where, people who are married for like, 50, 60, 70, 90 years. That's how they met. And they had the courage and inspiration to go for it, right? Instead of being, a lot of people get stuck into a situation when they're with somebody and they're just stuck there and there's nobody else there and they're stuck there and they, it's like they both get horny or whatever and bingo and they think, oh, well, that's the only one I can love. And not really. That's, you're just kind of brushed through. Well, these two folks, they had the real juice. Go watch the video. It's really amazing. Let's see. Wasn't that beautiful, Jamie? I mean, you could just see these two are like, and even if they don't even stick together, this will be a watershed for both of them. But I energetically look at him. They are they are the real deal. Yep. So let's see, 2 hours and 9 minutes and 57. Right. Old soul. They exactly, Jamie. They're old souls. They really were. They look like two. I mean, they're 19. They're so like buff, not buff, but like, so young. Everything about them is like, they didn't have a wrinkle or, any of that, but they were old souls. That's very insightful. Yep. Yep. We're past, future. The thing about old souls is that they know it. Maybe not cognitively, but everything they do, they realize they're coming from that space, and they come from that space. They don't like try to fight it or hide it or be something else or try to be buff or a movie star or be in shape or any of the above. They know who they are and they're being it, and that's what those two kids were. They were really. And what's interesting, the girl, she's. Her father was my dental surgeon, and his name is Kevorkian. And Dr. Kevorkian was his uncle. And when you got more than two teeth pulled out of your head, he would give you a T-shirt saying, "I survived, Dr. Kevorkian." I mean, he was just a funny guy and the best dental surgeon I ever had. Oh, oops. Yep. Oh, okay. So I think it's time to come back. So, three, you're in a deep, deep state of relaxation. You're rambling through the alleys of Times Square, and you can see that you can go there any old time you want. Remember, just go to your sanctuary of your choosing. Go to the Tree of Life and look for that little crack in the roots, like a fly on the wall. Yep. So, and two, you're walking over the bridge between your superconscious mind and your subconscious mind. You and your guides are with you. They've been playing around in the Great Link and having a great old time like puppies, and now they're like back to their situation as your guides, and your librarian is your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel, your guardian angel. But they enjoy that little vacation, and sharing and doing things with your guides brings you closer and closer, right? That's a good thing. And you've interacted with the cadre, and now you're walking into your imaginary mirror. You're illuminated, and I'm going to count from 1 3 times, and then I'm going to snap my fingers, and you'll be right back here in your avatar. And one, you're kind of regaining connection to your avatar, and you've rested, and your avatar is fresh and rejuvenated. And one, and you're kind of waking up, your eyes are opening, you're kind of moving your muscles around and stretching things. And one, you're back here now. And it's New Year's Eve evening, and happy everything. I have a noisemaker somewhere here around here. I can't find it. But I love you guys, and I'll see you in the morning. I'm going to go to Mr. Moon's. Maybe I'll see who's at Mr. Moon's. And everyone, if you're not really asleep or waiting for midnight or whatever, go to this morning's ramble at Mr. Moon's and see those kids. And that, more than anything, will put you in a state of sweetness, because those kids are. So, at 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 15 seconds, I will say goodnight. And it's been a beautiful night with you, and I've enjoyed, you know, New Year's Eve with you, my cadre of adepts. And tomorrow, Have any of you guys got your composition books to write your ideas down, or any kind of book, or anything to write things down in? Happy 2009, Jamie. Yep. Like a fly on the wall, Mr. Dragon. Start writing your ideas down, right? I want to talk about ideas, what we can do as a cadre across the planet to change things. And we can. We actually can. And we will not try, we will do. We will raise that X-fighter out of the swamp, you know? Well, I missed 15 seconds, but that's all right. We're not stuck in any dogma. We don't have to be exact. But I love you guys, and I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And go take a look at that video. Year number 3. Good Man, Dragon. 2009. 3, love you. Aho. We're getting close. Let's see. 2051, 52, 55. That sounds good to me. I love you guys. See you in the morning.